Welcome back. I'm still talking to Isabel Oakeshott, Talk's international editor. I want to try and squeeze a few things in here, Isabel. Well, first of all, before we get to Ed Miliband, whose net zero deranged insanity is going to make all of us poorer and colder, that maniac must be stopped. And I'm not overstating this. He's mad. He is quite literally mad. His policies make no sense. They're incoherent and not based on the facts. They're based on his dream of a green world, which is never going to happen. We'll talk about that in a minute. But a couple of things have emerged from the London Assembly, you know, presided over by, ready a drum roll, Sir Sadiq Khan, the diminutive mayor. Peter Fortune is Reform UK's single representative in the London Assembly. He said to all of the representatives, including the mayor, he said, let's all work together to combat knife crime in London, because of course, you know, a lot of people die in London due to stabbing. A lot of people get seriously injured, often just young kids, school kids, you know. Peter Fortune said, let's work together. Do you know what Sadiq Khan's response was? I'm proud to say that I and my colleagues in Labour have decided never to work with Reform UK.
Oh my gosh, that is unbelievable. How utterly pathetic. Sorry, I was not aware of this story because I would have been really, really riled if I'd known about it earlier. I mean, that is as low as it gets, isn't it?
It's
you know, you've got somebody...
Politicizing the fact kids are getting killed.
I don't care what party anyone's from. They could be from even from a party that you and I might consider on the fringes or some kind of bad group. If their aim in working together is to prevent or reduce or in some way end this hell, why wouldn't you just say, yes, for this, actually, we are going to work with you?
Absolutely.
It's just unbelievable.
Right, while we're on this, have a look at this. You won't believe this.
I asked you this question last week and you found every which way but not to answer it. Just how many grooming gangs have we got in London?
Avoiding a misunderstanding, can she define what she means by that?
Yes, if you look at what's gone on in Rotherham, where there are people taking young girls, grooming them for sex, that is what I'm talking about.
We know in London there are issues about exploitation of young people, but they're not as defined by the member in her definition of what those types of gangs are.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for you what's a misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that. It's all over the television.
Yeah, look, he is there. That is the Sir Sadiq Khan, Isabel, saying he doesn't know what Susan Hall, she's the Tory leader in the London Assembly, former candidate, of course, for the mayoral position. She lost. But there she is talking about grooming gangs. Sadiq Khan says he doesn't know what she's talking about, that he's never heard the phrase grooming gang.
I think he's just flammeling because he has absolutely no idea what kind of statistics or evidence there is in relation to London on that subject, because in his head he's just parked it as something happening up north, which he doesn't need to worry about. I think he was absolutely exposed there for what he is, which is an utterly mediocre, not even a B-list politician. He's somewhere down there in the M's, N's or O's of politicians' league tables. He's just such a lame disappointment for our great capital city.
Yeah, a man who prioritises clean air over kids getting stabbed to death. A man who allegedly prioritises clean air. He just wants the money, actually, for ULEZ fees over women feeling safe to walk the streets in his city, which they don't. I'm all for clean air and all that. Well done, great. But to be honest with you, Isabel, I used to live in LA. I now live in London. If I wanted clean air, I wouldn't live in these bloody great cities. I'd live in the country. countryside. Clean air is not an obsession of people who live in cities. Safety is. We want to be safe on the streets. We don't want to be stabbed to death. And we want our mayor to know what the hell grooming gangs are.
Yeah, quite. I mean, clean air is nice. Of course it's nice. No one's going to disagree with that, are they? But the thing I've always found really weird is that he's fixated on clean air in the fresh air and not clean air down in the underground, where millions of Londoners are in a very confined space and breathe air that is literally full of horrible particulate matter. I mean, you only have to run your hand along the wall in the tube and it will come out absolutely filthy to see what's in the air down there. And there, people can't escape from it. There is no circulation in the way that you have in the open environment. So why doesn't he focus on that? I've never understood that, the illogic of that.
Yeah, every day I'm down there, and I do quite a lot of things in my life that are not good for my health, to say the least. But probably the worst thing I do to my health is to regularly, every day, twice a day, sometimes more, travel on the London Underground, because as you say, the air down there is basically poison. He does nothing about that. Listen, I'll tell you what we'll do now is we're going to break and we'll deal with two prominent Labour cabinet ministers after these messages. First, I think Crazy Ed Miliband, the net zero zealot, and then West Streeting, the health secretary. So stand by for that. Stay where you are.